Hello everyone and welcome to our latest streaming event. My name is Rob Newton, I'm Marketing Manager here at Visual Impact. And today we are joined by Richard Lewis, Chief Engineer with Sony, who will be telling us all about the new Venice 2. Hi Richard.
Hi Rob.
How's things?
All good, thank you. Yeah, it's rather busy.
Excellent. Well, we're all eager to hear about this new camera. So before we do anything, I just want to go through some housekeeping. Please ask questions. Not only does it make the presentation more engaging, but you've got someone here who was heavily involved in the development of the camera. So if you need anything answering, then please ask Richard throughout this presentation.
Please do.
We are recording the event, so we will send you a link. So if you want to watch it again, listen to it again, or pass it on to some colleagues, then you'll be able to do that. And finally, if you want to listen to previous webinars, podcasts, or how to do videos, you can check out our website on visuals.co.uk.
Right, so welcome everyone. I'm Richard Lewis from Sony. So you're going to look at Venice 2 today. So when we designed the original Venice, we were looking at making it very safe and secure, easy to use, very high picture quality, reliable, that type of thing. And for Venice 2, we followed very much the same philosophy. So here are a few things that have been shot on Venice. It's more than 300 shows now, and shows and features running that have been shot on Venice, including Crown and Black Widow, and obviously the upcoming Tom Cruise adventure. So lots and lots of things have been shot on Venice very, very successfully. So we've over the years, it's 4 years since we introduced the original Venice. So since then there have been a lot of improvements we've done through firmware, added a lot of features, that type of thing. But now the time has come that to make further improvements, we need to change some of the hardware to actually incorporate some of the features that you people have been asking us for over the years. So Cine Alta is evolving, and here is the new Venice 2. So we've taken a lot of ideas on board. We've actually got a completely new sensor, so it is the very latest sensor technology. It's, if you like, the next generation on from the existing Venice sensor, and is really utterly fantastic sensor in every way. So even though we've increased the pixel count from about 24 million to 50 million pixels, we've actually managed to increase the sensitivity, increase the dynamic range, and reduce the noise as well, which is really quite a feat for this new sensor. We've also got rid of the R7 now, so we have internal X-OCN recording, and we've added also 4K ProRes recording, so that's 422HQ and 4444 12-bit ProRes recording. Still have the same 8-step ND filter that everyone loves included, and we've taken the opportunity to add a lot more features, which you will see shortly. So with the new sensors, so we have 16 stops of latitude, whereas Venice is 15 plus. Dual base ISO is now 800 and 3200, much improved highlight handling and roll-off. And we made a test film with Rob Hardy, and this really shows how well that is working. There are a lot of scenes of really extreme highlights between dark and shadow, and we really wondered whether it was actually going to work, and it's all graded in absolutely perfectly. So native 8K, 8.6K resolution full frame, that's at 3:2. And obviously the 4K ProRes, we are effectively oversampling, and you all know the tremendous benefit of oversampling an image for final picture quality. So in terms of color, we have the same super wide color space, S-gamut 3 and S-gamut. So this color is the same as the existing Venice. And of course you can mix and match them on the same timeline in Resolve or Baselight, and they will match together perfectly in terms of color. So this is a very, very important feature. But in terms of latitude, Venice we showed as +6 above 18% gray point and -9. The 8K sensor is +6 and -10. So quite a considerable improvement in latitude, but it's the way that it rolls off the highlights which is really, really tremendous. Then the dual base ISO. So as we mentioned, this camera can take both sensors. It can take this original 6K sensor and the 8K sensor. If you install the 6K sensor, you have the same base ISO as Venice at 500 and 2500. If you install the 8K sensor, you get 800 and 3200. So the camera automatically recognizes which sensor is installed and will change everything accordingly. So the high base ISO, as you all know, is incredibly useful, and a lot of people have been using it. There are a lot of features that have actually only been shot in with the high base ISO, the ISO 2500. Surprisingly, people love it so much, and you really can't tell, you know, from the image when it's actually being used. So hopefully the 3200, which Rob Hardy really tested to extreme events, because honestly, when we were shooting, I couldn't hardly see anything with the human eye, but the camera managed to capture it okay. So the high base ISO of 3200, I think, will be very, very much used. In terms of the full frame flexibility for the 6K sensor, it's exactly the same as the existing Venice. So for those of you that know existing Venice firmware version 6.1, which is the latest, all of the features in that have been rolled over into Venice 2 version 1, so as a starting point. And then we've added some extra features on top of that. If you install the 8K sensor with version 1, you'll get the 8.6K 3:2 up to 30 frames per second, and 8.2K 17:9, that's up to 60 frames per second. And then your Super 35 and your anamorphic are no longer 4K, but they are 5.8K. So your Super 35 is oversampling and your anamorphic is oversampling as well, with all the benefits that that gives you. So, of course, with this anamorphic effect, we are running in natively as the 65 imager mode. So you'll get the full benefit of that. So no external recorder. We have 2 AXS slots inside, and you can see the new cards there, which are white. These are the new S66 cards. Relay record is supporting, so when one card is full, the other card automatically takes over. The cache record memory is double the size of that in the existing Venice. And also the 4K ProRes is available in the 16:9, 17:9, and the 6:5 de-squeeze mode. Again, in the same way as Venice, we are totally lens agnostic. We can probably support almost every lens that exists, both from full frame anamorphic, Super 35, spherical, full frame spherical, and with the E mount, which is underneath the PL mount that's fixed on the camera. With E mount, you can then convert to any other format because of the very short flange depth. This is how the sensors work. So in Venice 2, you can have a 6K or an 8K sensor. You can actually buy an 8K version or a 6K version. And the sensor from the existing Venice will also work perfectly in Venice 2. So you can take a sensor from your current Venice and put it in the new Venice 2. Of course, the 8K sensor will only fit into the new Venice 2 body. The 8-step ND glass filter system exists in just the same way, so everybody loves this, so no change there. You all know how it works, remotely controllable, and you can also, it's all color corrected, so there are no color shifts when you change ND filter, so a very much loved feature. This is the difference in size, so compared to a Venice with an R7, we are 44 millimeters shorter, 10% less weight, and less power consumption as well, about 10% less power consumption as well. So that's all good. And for ventilation, obviously no R7, so we have to provide some cooling for the new AXS card slots, and those come from underneath where they're marked. So you can see their additional intake for AXS memory cards. And so the one fan, the same single size 80mm fan that we have in Venice, is now cooling both the Venice camera and the AXS cards. So actually this new Venice, the electronics have been shrunk, even though they're considerably more powerful. They have actually been shrunk because we have more space inside the body for cooling and airflow. This is a new memory card, it's a 6.6 gigabits per second writing speed. It's white card and supports full X-OCN XT 3:2 up to 30p, and 8.2K 17:9 60p is supported with the ST recording mode. This new card, which is actually going to replace the 1 terabyte S48, is fully backwards compatible. It can be used with the existing Venice and even with the R7 with the F5 and F55. It will work, so full backwards compatibility. Okay, so a new function that we have is the zoom to fit function. So this has been very much requested when you're operating in 3:2 full frame. As you can see on the left-hand image, then there are black bars down the sides, left and right. So what we have now with the zoom to fit function is you get a full width image, either 17:9 or 16:9 output, depending on which monitor you have. And you get full width, and then we crop the top and bottom. So on the set and in the viewfinder, you'll get a full width image. This has been a feature very much requested. So much more, as we mentioned, zoom to fit. We have lookup tables and art files and CDL files, which with the existing Venice, you used to have to transfer with SD card. Now they can be transferred via Ethernet or Wi-Fi. So you just connect your laptop and then you can transfer in CDL files. The CDL files can also be controlled real time by Ethernet and Wi-Fi. And we've been working with our friends at Pomfret, who have got a beta version of LiveGrade working with Venice 2. So LiveGrade is something that's very much featured on a lot of movie sets, so that fully works. Record indicator overlay, so this allows you to put the record indicator in the bottom of the screen, and also you can now move it to the center of the screen. So if you're pinching and zooming, for example, with an image, then you'll still be able to see the record indicator in the picture. SDI 1 and 2 have slightly changed, have the lookup tables. The lookup tables have changed massively. So now you can get from SDI 1 and 2, you can have a 4K image with 4K lookup table applied. And from outputs 3 and 4, you can have HD output also with an HD lookup table applied. You can also get lookup table applied, obviously, to monitor out and to the viewfinder. So every output, you can now apply a lookup table. Not only that, we have improved the grids of the 3D lookup tables. So now we're applying 33 by 33 by 33 grids. So you'll get a much improved picture quality. So this is why we have so much more processing power inside the camera. Not only are we handling the 8.6K image, but also we now have 4K lookup tables, HD lookup tables, and they are improved from 17 to 33 grid as a lookup table quality. So massive improvement there. Improved on-screen display. We've slightly changed the layout of some of the features because we have removed some things from Venice. So, for example, XAVC and HD recording does not exist in the Venice 2 now. We only have 4K and X-OCN recording. Record tally overlay, ACES update. So we've taken the opportunity to go to the latest version of ACES. And in fact, we now have a special mode where we can switch the whole camera operation into ACES. Again, this is very much a requested feature for a lot of big feature films. We also have now as part of the info page, we have a false color chart. So you can actually look up and see what colors mean what in the false color. So in summary, so evolution of Cine Alta, so much improved image quality with sensor. I cannot tell you how big an improvement this sensor is over anything that's gone before in terms of noise, picture quality in every way. Internal recording, X-OCN recording, choice of 2 sensors, same UI and form factor. So that in summary is the Venice 2. And I'll be happy to take any questions that anyone might have now. It's only an overview, so I think you get the idea that there's a lot of changes within the body itself. Okay, what about Hirose connector? Yes, so the Hirose connector has now gone. We have the LEMO 2-pin as the 12-volt output, which is pretty much industry standard. By RS, you can only trigger with that information that it is triggered. This is a true fact. So there is no, if you like, trigger out. We had a trigger out on the Hirose, but we actually don't do that anymore. It was felt that the need and requirement for the different type of 12-volt output connector was greater than the loss you would get for recording output. But we are considering how we can get around that. You obviously have record trigger outputs on all of the HD SDIs. How about false color on SDI now? Venice, you can only see it in the view. You can get false color on, certainly on the monitor out. I think, and whether you can get it on SDI, I can't remember. You can have a look. What's the maximum frame rate at Super 35? That is Super 35, that will go up to 90 frames per second. So this is one of the things about the 6K sensor. So the 6K sensor obviously has half the data rate recording. It also allows you to go to higher frame rates than the 8K sensor. So full frame in the 8K is 30p, and the 6K is 60p. Is there an option to have removed the option? Is there a reason you've removed the option to record in HD? We have removed the HD because there was actually very little requirement for it. A lot of people were not using it as a proxy. To do any HD recording required a completely different board to be installed in the camera because it's a different chipset. So we made the decision to remove it. So there is no HD recording and never will be on Venice 2. There are 4 screw holes on the panel. Some accessories in the future. Not from our side. What we've deliberately added those because you can add, for example, if it's in a live situation, you could add a camera nameplate, but I think other people will use it for adding on accessories or maybe some type of grid pattern. The new sensor, you can shoot 4K only in ProRes. That is the, remember, that is the recording. So currently, you are correct in that the AXS X-OCN recording will be a minimum of 5.8K, which you then downsample in post to 4K. That is correct. We may in future add in a future firmware update to actually scan a slightly smaller area, a real 4K area, which so the size would be somewhere between Super 35 and Super 16. But currently, if you only want to record 4K, then ProRes is your solution, correct? Yes. Anybody? What we got? when switching to old sensor and 6K, you only gain new body size. The rest is the same. ISO is only better with the new sensor. So ISO is only better with the new 8K sensor. That's correct. When you put in the old 6K sensor, so you have exactly the same frame rates and settings as you do with the existing Venice, but you gain all of the extra features such as the 4K lookup tables, the HD lookup tables, the improvement, the live grade, real-time transfer of lookup tables and art files to the camera, and all of the different improvements in connectors. So we've put the LAN connector where it should be on the back of the camera. It's no longer at the side of the camera. So you'll get all of those considerable improvements. So overall, it'll run a lot cooler as well. As I say, at 8.6K 24p, we're drawing about 76 watts. With the 6K sensor, it's about 73 watts. Of course, when you go to higher frame rates, the power consumption increases. So the maximum 8.2K 60p is about 106 watts. And there will be software which can handle 8K. I think I'm for a couple of days test, but nothing can play the file. No, you won't, because they will not be released until we release the camera. But we had, when we were shooting our test film, we had a beta version of Baselight and beta version of Resolve and a beta version of Raw Viewer, which all worked. So when the camera is released, all of this software will be available and ready to use. I know it's only a brief overview, but you'll be able to read everything in detail online. We have the new Venice 2 brochure has a lot of information in it, which is on the Sony Pro website. I expect, Rob, you may have a link to that on your own website, perhaps.
Yes, we've got a link to that, and certainly we're really keen, obviously, to get hands on the unit ourselves to have a look at it and produce some your material, but not as yet. But as soon as we can, we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit early for us to release material because we're still on a very early beta version of the software. So of course we still, release is not till the end of February, so we still have some time, nearly 3 months to go before it's released. So the guys are working very hard to finalize and get all the bugs out. Long process. Will you carry on updating the original Venice firmware? We do have a plan. We're having discussions with the engineering team about adding some of the improvements. So things we could add, for example, we've had a slight menu restructure. Since the original version 1, obviously in Venice, we've added many features. And therefore, we felt that some of the items in the menu were slightly in the wrong place. So we've had a rethink and readjusted those, so we might do that type of thing. But certainly, discussions are ongoing, but obviously the guys, which are the same guys doing Venice 2, are flat out at the moment, as we said. But we do have a plan for a future update for the original Venice, yes.
I think we'll wrap it up there unless anyone's got any last minute questions. As Richard said, this is just a teaser, if you like, into what more information we'll have later on, more detailed information. It is very early for a manufacturer to come out with all of this at this stage, but Sony want to do that, so it's looking really exciting for the future.
I think so. Yeah, it's I was frankly astonished at the quality improvements that the new sensor has brought. It's really astonishing.
That's terrific. Okay, I think we'll wrap it up there. First of all, I want to thank Richard, obviously, for his presentation. As I say, he's a very busy guy at the moment. He's had a big hand in the development of this. So, it was nice of him to give us a glimpse into the world of the Venice too. And obviously, I want to thank everyone who's listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining in, and bye for now.
Okay, thank you so much.